Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I have the last of my 2024 wrap up videos. So this is going to be the part 2 of the books that I DNF'd in 2024, which was a lot. So I already did a video like this. I will definitely link it up above and in the description down below, but I, as you might know, am a big fan of DNFing books if you're not feeling it. So I do it quite a bit. And this does not include books that I read a few pages of and said, "No, I'm going to put this down." I get a lot of books from publishers, and so sometimes I will just read the first chapter and decide that that's enough for me. I did not include those. These are ones that I got a little ways into and decided to put down. So let's just go ahead and get started. So picking up where the last video left off, we have a book called The Villain Edit by Lori Devore. I don't know. So this is about a romance novelist who ends up, going on to a show like The Bachelor, and she's trying to kind of get her book to be popular and to get people to buy the book, basically. And so she goes onto this show, and she's essentially given the villain edit, hence the name of the book, where she's edited in a way to make her look like the bad guy, and she's that foe to all of these nice girls on the Bachelor type show. And so my reasons for DNFing this are mainly that she really didn't get a villain edit. She was just an asshole to everybody else. And it wasn't anything to do with the editing. I mean, and so this book is written in the first person, so we are getting her perspective on it. And I feel like you would think that if you're reading from the first person, you'd get the skewed to make yourself or, the character look better. And honestly, she still looked like a total bitch to all these other girls who were nothing but nice to her. So yeah, I was just absolutely irritated with this character. I thought she was just not a character I wanted to root for. So that led me to DNF this one probably about halfway through. It seemed like a really cool premise. It seemed like a really interesting kind of idea for a book, but I really just could not stomach it. All right, the next one is a favorite of one of my favorite booktubers, Gabby Reads. So this one is a bummer, but it was Fantasticland by Mike Bakoven. So this is about a theme park in Florida where there is a big hurricane, but all of these employees get trapped inside the theme park, and they are essentially completely cut off from civilization while the world kind of gets itself back together because the infrastructure of this park is really bad and not set up in any way for this situation. And so the employees start to form factions, and it's very Lord of the Flies. I got about 70% of the way through this book, and I just could not do it anymore. And I read this right around the time my dad died, and so I really just was out of patience for anything that was not totally vibing with me. My issues with this book were mainly that it was very long, and actually I don't even know if it was that long. It was just it dragged. Additionally, it, like I said, gets really into the Lord of the Flies territory, and I just don't think it would happen that quickly. And again, it is sort of that's kind of part of the story, is how quickly people turn violent and turn on each other, but there are people being literal psychopaths, and it's only been 3 days. So I just feel like it's a hard thing to sell that it would take that little time for people to turn on each other. I genuinely think that most people are good people and don't want to hurt others. And so even stuff like sharing resources, I just don't think that all of that would happen so fast, and that literally everyone that works at this theme park is suddenly a psycho. I don't know. I just didn't buy it, and the gore is excessive. I also spent 6 years working at a little theme park called Disney World, if you've heard of it, and a lot of the stuff in this was just so unrealistic as someone with that knowledge of how theme parks operate. So you know, it just did not work for me, and I gave it a good shot because it sounded really good. I had this in my library holds for like 4 or 5 months waiting for it, and it unfortunately disappointed me. The next one was a huge disappointment. It was one I was so excited about all year, and that is So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison. So I love this author. She's kind of, become one of my favorite authors, but unfortunately, this was a huge miss for me. This is kind of like a dark, like, comedy horror satire. That's kind of what she writes about. And so this book is supposed to be about these two girls who one of them has just, was she just dumped? Yes, she was just dumped, and it's her birthday. And so her best friend takes her on this like trip up to like somewhere snowy, I guess. And again, like I have blocked this out of my brain, but and then like they go out one night and like meet some vampires, and vampire stuff happens, which, you probably could just get from the cover alone. But I hated this best friend. She was the worst friend, and I could not take it. So I had ordered this book, and before I ended up getting it in the mail, I received a complimentary copy from Penguin Random House of the audiobook. So I started with the audiobook, and I absolutely could not stand the way this narrator did the best friend's voice. I was like, I like absolutely hated it. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to put this down until I get my physical copy because this is going to ruin this book for me. And it turns out that while it definitely had an impact, that was not the only reason I hated the best friend. She's an awful friend. It was like her friend, I can't remember anybody's name, sorry. The main character's birthday, and she really didn't want to go on this trip anyways. And then her best friend is like trying to drag her out in the snow to like some party with this random guy that she met. And like, I'm sorry, but no. If I just got dumped and it's my birthday and you dragged me on this vacation, I'm not going to a party with strangers that are going to eventually turn me into a vampire. Like, absolutely not. I just thought she was just really shitty, and this book was really boring, and I just didn't really care. So, yeah, that was a DNF. I think I was probably around 50% through when I DNF'd it. The next one is The Hitchcock Hotel by Stephanie Roble. I've read a few books by this author before that I did really enjoy, Darling Rose Gold and This Might Hurt. I enjoyed both of those, but this I really couldn't get through, and to be honest, I don't know if I gave it like the fair shot it needed. I also think I went into it with different expectations, which were not completely my fault, I think. I feel like the author was really banking on getting some readers based on the fact that, like, this was about Hitchcock. I myself am a pretty big Hitchcock fan, and so that intrigued me for sure. I probably would have read this anyways because of the fact that I liked the author's previous books, but the Hitchcock thing was a big selling point. So this was really just a book that I felt I had read before, and I'm just a trope I'm so sick of. So this is about this man named Alfred who was in a film club in college, and now he's opened this hotel that's very like Alfred Hitchcock themed. And so it's about to open, or it's like the year anniversary, I think. And he invites his college film club to come back and like stay there and like see everything and like reunite. And like these are people that like weren't really like great friends. They just were in this film club together. And so it's becomes a like locked room thing where people start dying. And honestly, I don't even think I made it to anybody getting killed. I think I could just sense where it was going and knew that that was not something I was interested in reading. So I just went ahead and quit it. I'm just so tired of that. That trope is just so, I'm just over it with the, college friends or high school friends all reuniting and oh no, we have buried secrets and whatever. And this one felt very, very close to And Then There Were None, which is like the OG locked room thriller, or mystery, whatever, because it does definitely feel as though Alfred, the main character, is the one pulling the strings. And you know what? Like, I didn't finish it, so I could be totally wrong. But it seemed, it's just, it just felt like I've read this book before, and that the good feelings of reading this, you know, book centered around a person that I find intriguing was just like not enough to keep me invested in this book. Okay, the next one I kind of have a little asterisk next to, and that is called We Came to Welcome You by Vincent Torrado. So this is a book I mentioned in a previous video where I was discussing how sometimes the audiobook can have such a huge impact on how much like you enjoy a book. And this is definitely one that became like a victim of I didn't like the audiobook. So this is about a lesbian couple who moves into this neighborhood, and the neighbors are all like very overbearing about like joining the HOA and like to a creepy level. And the main character is like going through some stuff because she just got let go from her job as a professor because she was accused of plagiarism and some other stuff. But like they don't join the HOA, and then like really creepy stuff starts happening, like doors and staircases start disappearing in their house. And like I did not get very far into this one because, like I said, I was listening to the audiobook and I was not a fan of the narration. So I will say I did get far enough into this that I wanted to like include it on this list because I did DNF it. However, this is not a book that I would say I don't recommend, and that I can say that I will never go back to, because I do think that it was a decently written book. I just think that it personally, you know, I didn't own the physical copy. I got this as an audiobook from Libro FM for free, and so I gave it a shot. The narration wasn't for me, but if I had owned the physical copy, I would have just skipped to that, so it wasn't based on the book itself, but the narration. This is not a book that I would totally just write off. I just think that like my situation was specific, and I still think if this sounds interesting, you should give it a shot. Okay, the next one, gonna be an unpopular opinion, maybe, I don't know. It is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. This is like a darling of TikTok, which just gave me one more reason to why like I just can't get into the book talk thing. This book was awful. I think I got about maybe a third of the way in, like far enough that I could tell that this book was just like not for me. First of all, I, you know, understand that like cozy type small town romances are not always the vibe for me, but I started this in like October. It sounded adorable. It sounded cozy and sweet, and like literally all I knew about it really going in was the title, and that it was like small town, and I got it for free from Libro FM on audio. So I was like, let's give it a shot. The people over on TikTok love it. Let's go for it. And I thought at first it was cute, the first few chapters, and then we just had insta-love immediately. We had no real conflict. As far as I got through the plot, there was no conflict. It was just these two people kind of like starting to fall for each other. And like, that's great. But it's not really that exciting to read about when that is all that's happening. And like, neither of them are super interesting people, to be honest. So yeah, this woman owns this cafe, and this guy, I think he was like a handyman, or like he fixed stuff around town. So a tale as old as time. It was just really boring. And then it got really sexy really fast. And so I'm like, okay, if this is like a slow burn where we're like following this relationship, then let's give the sex a rest and let's like ease into it. But I guess that the whole book is very spicy, and it seems like the whole series is. So this is actually like a book series about this small town. And so I thought this was just so bad. I still don't understand what people are raving about. But I'm happy for you if you liked this. But fortunately, I did not. I also didn't really think it had the full vibes I was promised, so just a big ol' no for me. All right, these last four, with the exception of one of them, I really just DNF'd because I just like lost interest. So the first one is Deadly Animals, and I don't remember the name of the author, but I'll put the cover here so you'll be able to see the author's name. And this is just about a girl who is really into dead things. Like, death really fascinates her, and I can't remember anything else that happens. But it wasn't bad. I just didn't find myself excited to go pick it up, and it was just a book that like I just couldn't get myself excited to read. And I got about a third of the way, I think, again, and yeah. Again, this isn't one that I would necessarily say I don't recommend. I just didn't find anything exceptional about it. And it's horror, but I think it just was taking too long to get there. Another kind of hot take is Blue Sisters by Coco Malors. And this is another book that I don't think had anything to do with the book. It had more to do with me. I just was not finding myself excited to pick this up. I got it probably about 65% through this book, and I was just not having a good time. I was just not interested anymore. I think it started out really strong and the writing was very good, but I just got bored reading it. It's about this group of sisters who one of them had passed away a year prior, and their parents are selling their like family home brownstone in New York City, and so they all kind of need to like come back and figure that out. And I usually like this book had all of the makings of something that I would love. It's like a family drama, sisters, grief. Not that I love grief, but it's been something that I've read a lot of in the later part of this year, especially. But um, it, I just got bored. I don't know. And maybe that was definitely something to do with my mental state at the time of reading this, but I'm certainly in the minority of people that like didn't finish this, didn't, you know. And so don't take my word for it. If this sounds interesting, you should totally go for it, but I just the next one is Kiss Me at Christmas by Jenny Bayless, and this is again another I got probably 75% through this one, and I just didn't care. I just got a little bit bored with it, and I didn't feel excited to pick it up. And no matter how far I am through a book, if it's not like for a book club or like an arc or something like that, I don't know. I just like couldn't really get myself to pick it up. The bulk of this book I read on audio while I was like getting ready for like Christmas. I was putting up decorations, I was wrapping presents and stuff. So like I had the vibes going, and then when I went to go like start listening to it again when I wasn't doing those things, I just didn't really care. Like it was just not as exciting to pick up. So I feel like I just decided, I mean, I kept putting it like kind of on the back burner. I was like, oh, I'll go back to it. I'll get back to it. Well, it's past Christmas now. I still don't want to go back to it. And so I'm just kind of writing it off as a loss because I just, again, maybe next year I will pick it back up. I probably won't, let's be honest. But like, it might be something that, you know, someone else would still enjoy. I just got to a point where I didn't feel like I was having an exceptionally good time. And there's plenty of books that would be an exceptionally good time. And the last one is basically a mixture of all of the things that I don't like right now in books. And this book is The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Allie Carter. I wanted to like this so badly. I think I got about 100 or so pages in, and I was like asking everyone around me, like, is this going to get better? Which kind of way does this lean? Whatever. And so this seemed like it was going to be really like lighthearted murder mystery at Christmas time, and maybe I should have read into it a little more because I think I kind of just got those like key points, and then I was like, done, let's do it. It was book of the month pick for December, and so I was like, sold, done, let's do it. And then I got it, and as I've already mentioned in this here video, I'm so tired of locked room mysteries, and that is absolutely what this is. And I am just, I guess I'm also a little bit tired of like rival authors, and then they're gonna like fall in love and all of that. It was also really annoying to me because these two authors are on this like little getaway retreat thing. I honestly can't remember exactly why or how they got there because then I read a book that was very similar, and so I'm getting them confused, so whatever. And basically, she doesn't like him because he like outsold her books and is like more successful, whatever. And she overheard him saying like something about her getting divorced because she's awful. which I'm sure is a misunderstanding that gets resolved later, but who knows. And so I just, like, she goes in hating him for, like, essentially a minor reason without really knowing him. Like, yeah, that sucks to say that, but, like, you know, maybe you didn't hear the whole thing. And so then they basically, like, get together really fast. And, like, I don't know. I hate enemies to lovers where they're basically like, yeah, sure, they hate each other or one hates them, whatever, but like their hormones win. So they're like, I hate you and I'm still gonna hate you, but let's screw. I don't know why. I just don't like it. So between that and the locked room mystery and whatever, I was just like, I can't do this. And it's funny because there's a lot of people who were like, this was my favorite holiday read, whatever. And there also were a lot of people that I talked to that were like, I also don't get it. I couldn't stand it. I hated this book. To each his own. I'm glad there are books out there for everyone. And I'm sorry that this video got so lengthy. So that is a wrap on all of my DNFs for 2024, probably. We still have 2 more days left in the year, so who knows, but we're gonna wrap it up with that. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here this year and watching my channel. I have had such a wonderful year on BookTube, not in real life, but on BookTube. And so it's been so nice to have kind of an outlet to just kind of be able to check out from real life and just talk. And you guys have been so great and supportive, and I just could not be more grateful. So thank you so much for everything. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!